I'm just gonna start at 9:33. I was gonna start at 9:30, but and then we got this little nifty thing that stays on top. It's pretty cool. So just to reiterate, the subject of the pilot will be based off a randomly generated sentence. It's going to be completed today. Some notes that I'm going to keep in mind is that to mention the characters' names, otherwise how will the audience know? Plant seeds to be used later in the season. I think that's super important for a pilot. Keep writing minimal. That means condense what can be condensed. It leaves more space for more things. Every scene, a character should have a purpose. Every scene, a character should be going in there wanting something. And then just to add more heart, add more... I'm not sure what that means, but I'm gonna try to do that. Alright, we're gonna start it. Boom. Start the timer. He found a leprechaun in his walnut shell. Oh. I put up the timer so that you could see how much time has passed, but I think it might just end up distracting me because I'll be just looking at how much time I'm wasting. There's so many possibilities with this one. Alright, so I'm just going to be jotting down simple sentences for ideas, and then if one sticks, generally I'll be able to write more about it.
Idea time. Sponsored by How the F Am I Supposed to Read This Font Incorporated. Oh. Alright, this is actually pretty cool. The walnut tree is a symbol of intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, and inspiration. It's synonyms with intellect and mental aptitude. Even the nut resembles the brain. That's pretty true, right? Like just wrinkly circle. Alright, so I fleshed out this idea pretty well. I wanted to do like a young adult fiction world, or basically there's like a riddle or a prophecy, you know, the classic that tells of a fruit or some kind of cultivated item that will house these creatures that will bring down the kingdom or something like that. I don't really know why they would bring down the kingdom, but something to figure out later. Possibly 4 companions that they can find other than the leprechaun. So the leprechaun and then 3 other things. And then it's gonna follow a young girl. So the king's gonna hear about this riddle. He's gonna misinterpret the riddle to think it's not walnuts that he should be worried about, but it's something else. He's gonna burn down the farms. A little girl is gonna be taken out. She's gonna be part of the farm. She's gonna survive and no one else will. She gets put into a refugee camp where she learns about the walnuts and how the king misinterpreted the riddle. Then there's going to be the B story of someone at the palace who has to deal with the king and who wants to prove himself to the king. So it's these 2 kids that it's going to focus on. And then I kind of just fleshed out the point of attack, hero committed, hero succeeds almost, emotional squeeze, and hero succeeds. And then I didn't flesh out the hero's new life, which, you know, is part of these 5 points, but is the least important in my opinion. And then I kind of want to do character bone structures for this, which I haven't been doing in the past one because I think I didn't have time. But if I can just slice it out just a little bit for some, I think it'll really add to how their dialogue goes. So, go main girl. So I'm just doing a character bone structure, which is basically the physiology, sociology, and psychology of the character. I'm obviously not going to fill out all this stuff because there's stuff that doesn't even matter, like religion, nationality, prejudices. Yeah, some of these are good to flesh out, but others don't really matter. So I'm just trying to do it for the 2 main characters that we're going to be following. Maybe the... Outline time. Sponsored by How the F Am I Supposed to Read This Font Incorporated. Oh.
Alright, worst part, coming up with names. I don't think I'm going to use a random name generator. I think I'm going to use the good old English to Latin, because when in doubt, you use Latin. If I've learned anything from Harry Potter. Oh man, I wanted to finish by 12, but
Getting stuck on Act 2. I'm having trouble because I'm really trying to avoid like random occurrences, like someone just stumbling upon some kind of evidence or something that catapults the story. You know, it should be a decision to send someone that way, and that decision leads to someone finding something, and then their decision to turn it in is what, you know, makes them burn down the town, and then burning down the town is what makes, you know, it's what makes the heroes committed. Sometimes it's hard to find out motivations for decisions that would make people do what you want them to do. Oh god, alright, I'm done. That is a lot. It was 40 scenes. I think the bulk of it is in the beginning, and then these look, these are like one sentences, and this is like a whole paragraph. Holy moly. I don't know. It's definitely difficult to keep up the same energy you have in the beginning as the end, because at the end you're just like, ah. And I've mentioned that before, like filling up Act 4 and Act 5 is just difficult for me for some reason. But yeah, we finished at 12:18. That's not bad. You know, I'm just gonna eat lunch real quick, try to start on the actual writing before 1. Lunchtime. Sponsored by How the F Am I Supposed to Read This Font Incorporated. Oh. That's time before 1. Let's go. Watch me write for an insanely boring amount of time, featuring the free-to-use music from the YouTube audio library. Sponsored by How the F Am I Supposed to Read This Font Incorporated. Oh. Boom, 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 boom.
Get a drum as a toy for Christmas. Was one of the greatest innovators. The know to and the right. It's a whole yard full of fans.
I keep looking at the timer and thinking that's the time. I thought it was 7 already. I was like, oh my god. But thank goodness it's only 4:45. Thought I was 2 hours behind. My god. Alright, for some reason I'm going Act 1 and Act 2 were so big. I'm on page 37 usually. I'm supposed to be like on page 20, so I'm like 17 pages over. Maybe, I think, I mean, I've read hour-long pilots that are like 60 to 70 pages, so it's not disgustingly bad. And obviously when it's like a professional thing, they delete scenes and stuff when it goes over the certain time. So I probably just keep writing. We're just kind of worried about time. I'm done at 5:30. Which means Act 3 is probably going to take me to 7:30, probably eat dinner to 8, and then Act 4 and 5 from 8 to like 11:30 to 12. I guess that's normal, but I don't know, I kind of feel more behind on this one because I'm not even halfway done. It's already 5:30. I'm done. Stop the clock. 12 hours, 13 minutes, 47 seconds. Pretty good. It's actually crazy. I think that's one of the shortest times, and this was the longest script, 68 pages. It's easily the longest, probably by like 10 pages that I've done in one of these challenges. Yeah, finishing before 10, that's kind of nuts. Honestly, I think this is like one of the funnest prompts I've done. I just got the idea really quick. I ended up not ending where I wanted to. I wanted them to actually find the leprechaun and the walnut as like the last scene, the like leprechaun popping up, but I wasn't able to get there. Like I ended on page 68 and they're just barely setting off on the quest to find the leprechaun. I probably could have written like 2 more scenes if they had found it, but then it would have been over 70 pages, and over 70 pages for an hour is just a little too much, especially in terms of this. Like if it was comedy with a lot of dialogue, then maybe that would work, but probably not this. Also, I mentioned in past challenges that I would think about scope, and I think I did that for the last full hour I did, and I didn't want to add like it was in a medieval setting. I didn't want to add like creatures and stuff to add to the cost, but this one I didn't think about that at all. I just threw in whatever, which is kind of added to the fun of it. How much fun I had writing it. It was pretty cool. I guess young adult is like my thing. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it now. Of course, you can read it below by yourself, or you can hear me read it, and I'll explain what each scene is doing, pretty much. Feel free to read the script on your own. The PDF link is down below. Skip to that time on the screen to hear my final remarks. Sponsored by How the F Am I Supposed to Read This Font Incorporated. Oh. Alright, so teaser, interior castle, dining hall night, a massive dining hall, long wooden tables seat hundreds of nobles at the back of the room. A stone table is elevated by some level stairs. The king and his family sit on the stone table. A personal guard, Duxurio Dux, stands behind the king. The grand doors bang open and an old enchantress escorted in with dark skin and colorful clothing. She draws the eyes of the hall. Yes, the entertainment is here. The enchantress stoops and bows before the king, her back to the rest of the room. What do you have for us today? Fireworks, a show of light and smoke. Let us see it all. The enchantress grabs purple powder from within her room and tosses it to the floor. She starts to move. The powder explodes into dust, and the enchantress commands it with her movements. Her arms sway and dust swirls around her. The dust turns green. You are afraid of something. The king sits up in his seat. What is this? The enchantress continues to flow. The dust expands, grows. Sits up in his seat, confused. You are afraid of losing your title as king, as any king would be. The king stands up. You were not told to speak, you were told to entertain. I was told to show you something. She lifts her hands and the dust spirals upward. You are a king who does not respect everyone in his domain. The nobles hold their breath. The king watches in bewilderment. Take her away. You do not respect my people. The dust turns yellow. You are a coward. Don't stand there. Take her. The guards advance, but the dust spins faster. It hardens to sand and shreds the guard's armor. I was brought here as a spectacle. You do not respect us. Get out. The guard readies a crossbow. He takes aim, fires. The dust catches the arrow. It hovers. The enchantress's eye shines white, and she is lifted up. Mark these words. They grow from the ground and are housed in shells, taking the place of earthen fruit. The next clips are soundless as the enchantress recites her speech. The clips represent the future, the king's retaliation. Cut to king's chambers. Night scribes pore over books. They present a peanut plant to the king. They are valued as wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and inspiration. 4 of them strong, 4 of them to crumble your kingdom walls. Cut to the stables. The squires prepare horses and knights. A leprechaun, a centaur, a mermaid, a chimera, different creatures, bird from the same plant as we are different people born from the same earth. Cut to peanut pastures day. The knights led by ducks stand before burning fields. Men and women are cut down before their eyes. Respect us and they will not grow. Cast us out and they will come. Cut to, we're back in the present in the dining hall. Her eyes flash black. The sand rains down as her arms fall limp to her side. She looks down, a sword embedded in her chest. She drops to her knees. A lacetive bit of dust flows down. The king stands, arm outstretched, sheath empty. And teaser. So that just gives us like the origin, right? The origin of what's going to launch us into the series. So it's the prophecy and then the burning of the peanut farms. And then we are in Act 1, exterior forest area. A pair of feet walk through the forest, stopping every saw of hints so that a hand can reach down and pick up sticks. One foot has a nasty scar from a burn long ago. However, for about every 3 that are picked up, one falls. We now see our gatherer Celine teens struggling to hold the bunch. A stick falls out of her hands. Come on. She leans down to pick up another, and one falls out. Come on. A boy steps up behind her, raise a young boy, but older. You don't need to repeat this. Young but older than Celine picks up what she dropped. I can take most of that pile. She defensively holds her bunch. I've got it. Ray's already holding out more than she's carrying, shrugs. Okay, but there's really no use for you to be trying to pick up more. Celine stares Ray in the eye, squats while maintaining eye contact, and picks up another branch. Half of the sticks in her hand tumble out. Ray smirks and turns away. I'm heading back to the camp now. Right behind you. She scrambles to stack the bunch back in her arms. Cut to the refugee camp. Canvas tent set up in no particular order. Mud floors, dirty people scramble about. Celine, about to lose her grip on the bundle of sticks, rushes into a tent. And into Phoebo's tent. Celine manages to push through the front flap just as the sticks tumble out of her arms and scatter across the dirt floor. Phoebo, an elderly woman with dark skin, smiles at Celine, not at all surprised by her bursting in. Well, hello, Celine. Phoebo, I'm so sorry. Let me just clean this up. She hastily piles the sticks back in her arms. Why don't you shove them to the side? Light mine, then worry about the rest. Celine considers. Good idea. She presses a majority of the sides, stacks a couple on in the middle of the tent. She stands, reaches up, and unhinges a piece of the canvas. You haven't been too cold, have you? Just a bit, dear. Nothing to really worry about. Alright, well, prepare to be warm. She arranges the sticks in a pyramid and takes out the flint. She strikes it once, twice, 3 times. Phoebo, don't worry. You'll be warm in no time. She strikes it a couple more times. Sparks barely fly. Here. Phoebe extends her hands. Celine gives her the flint. It's all in the follow-through. She strikes the flint hard and sparks fly into the sticks. She gives them back to Celine. Like this, they barely fly. Harder, put your back into it. She aggressively scrapes the flint against the stone. After a couple more tries, the sticks begin to smoke. Yes, she leans down, cuts the sticks, and carefully blows onto them. Soon enough, a small fire is going. Very good. Phoebe scoots over and hovers her hand over the flame. She sits back excited. I'm not cut out for this. No one is cut out for something when they first start. Rays didn't just start, but you did. You should have seen him when he was your age, stumbling around worse than you. He almost caught Vetter's tent on fire because it was spraying sparks every which way. This brings some great solace to Celine. She sighs in relief and sits back, crack, right onto the rest of the sticks. She puts her head in her hands. You've got to be kidding me. Broken sticks are still sticks. Don't compare yourself to Rays. It's a negative outlook to always compare yourself. You did fine and you'll do even better next time, right? Just be who you want to be for yourself. Yeah, but I suck at this. I never once thought that. So the only person in this room that thinks that is you. Believe in yourself. She smiles and nods. Now go on. I'm sure that there are others who are colder than me. She gets up, picks up her sticks, and heads out. Cut 2, she steps out and sees Rays. A couple of them stand. You just finished one? I'm almost out of stick. I made 4 fires already. She dips her head back into the tent. Cut 2, Vetter's tent. I actually don't know what I was trying to do with him saying, like, can you teach me? And him saying, like, maybe I was thinking that only people like him have the power to do that, but I don't know, it didn't really pan out to anything. Like when I read that, I was like, oh, what did I want that to be? But these first couple scenes of Act 1 are to show Celine doesn't believe in herself, and she's a little bit inept at doing things by herself, but she wants to do things by herself, right? She doesn't want Ray's help in picking up the stick. She doesn't want Phoebe's help in lighting the fire, but sometimes she needs a little help. And then Vetter is sort of like the guy who shows her wondrous things and brings a little light to this bad camp that she's in, right? The refugee camp. It's not a very happy place, but he brings that happiness, that magic. All right, then cut to Castle Stables Day. A large stone courtyard. The doors to the stables are closed. A few boys stand outside while a larger man, the stable keeper, stands in front. I was told 4 men are departing today, so why do I only see 3 squires? As if on command, a squire comes running across the yard. I'm here. One of the squires already there. A clean boy with jet black hair. Peter eyes the late squire with distaste. Very well, Captain Ducks. Yes. Third night ran off. Third night floor. Second night came in. Yes. Very well then. The stable keeper turns and unlocks the door. The stench of horses, horse poop, horse piss floods the courtyard. The other squires flinch. Peter holds it in. They depart soon. Keep going. As if that were the pistol shot to start the race, the boys rush in, grabbing the saddles from the wall and finding their respective horse. We see Peter work. He's quick and precise, no waste movement, no fumbling with latches. He leads the horse out, fully kitted, as the other squires still scramble to fit their horses. Exterior, you're quick. I am. Nothing else to be expected from Ducks' squire. Keep it up. I will. The stable keeper smirks and goes about his business. Peter stands straight, reins in hand, waiting. Cut to Kingdom City streets. Peter rides behind Ducks, dressed in his gold armor. Villagers swarm the streets and marvel at Ducks' armor, his prowess. They clap for him. Peter, barely able to see around Ducks, marvels as they pass by the villagers. The captain! It's like a parade. People stare as he passes. Peter takes it all and does what he wants. Cut to Lord's Estate, Stable Day. A magnificent estate outside the castle walls, manicured lawn, trimmed hedges. The stable lies away from the mansion, and just enough so Peter can see the wealth, but not partake in its beauty. Peter brushes Ducks' horse. Out from the saddles of the stable steps a stable hand Sordide, much dirtier than Peter. That's a lovely horse. Thank you. Do you take care of it? I get it ready, but I do not feed it or tend it to it when it is not in use. Why not? Because I'm not his caretaker. I am a squire, not a stable boy. Then why are you in the stables? Aren't squires supposed to be with their knights? I'm not a squire to a knight. I'm a squire to the captain. Wow, very nice. And yet we are both in the stables. Yeah, except the only difference is that one of us shouldn't be here and the other will be here for the rest of his life. Hey, I never said I wasn't happy being a stable boy. I seem a lot happier than you, at least. Once people notice how useful I am, then I'll be happy. When I'm a knight, then you can clean my horse and I'll be happy. Well, I'll be happy too because I'll get to work with a beautiful horse, I'm sure. Peter scoffs and turns away. He steps closer and inspects the horse. This is nice work. You hooked all this up? Faster than the other squires, too. Very nice. Doesn't matter if no one notices, though. I noticed. If no one important notices, I'd say right now I'm the most important person to you. You mean nothing to me, and you mean nothing to me, but as of right now I'm the only person in the world to you, right? You can't see or hear anyone else. Everyone in that house could be dead. I could be the only one left alive, but you're not. No, but why spend time worrying about the people who aren't in your world at the moment and start worrying about the people who matter? No, but why spend time worrying about the people who aren't in your world and end on that? Kind of like that. It's kind of mysterious. It was a stable boy talking about. So then these are establishing Peter. He's good at what he does. He's a squire. He's good at what he does. He's fast. He's confident. He's cocky. And he wants to be famous. He wants to be like recognized for the good job that he's doing. He wants to be recognized for how fast he is and how precise he is. And he's not getting noticed, right? He gets noticed by the stable keeper and he gets noticed by the stable boy. So that's not the attention he wants. And then we cut back to the forest. Reyes goes, how many can you hold? Celine's too busy inspecting the tree, so I wasn't here. Celine, how many can you hold? She blinks, looks back. He's already holding 2 dead squirrels. And while you're looking at the trees, all the traps are on the ground. Right. Vetter told me to get something for him. Get what? Look for a tree with white and red flowers if you could. This is a voiceover. Collect some fallen flowers for me, would you? Oh, and keep it a secret. Nothing. Vetter told you to get nothing? Yeah, never mind. I already brought him leaves that he won last time. Right. So then how many can you carry? I can grab 3 or 4. Are you sure? Because I saw the sticks. You asked, so I told you. Just hand them over. I can give you 1 or a half. Don't want those getting left behind on the forest floor. She grabs the squirrels from his hands and flings them in his face. See, I can carry more than 1. I'll go check the other traps. All right, be careful. Yeah. She ventures farther into the forest. Her attention. I was trying to get this on the one line. She ventures further into the forest. Her attention up. She adventures further. Her attention in the trees. I could just further into the forest isn't necessary. You can just say adventures further. I mean, just a note. I talked about this at the beginning, but I wanted to keep my writing to a minimum, and I watched one of the YouTube videos where the writer Emily Carmichael, the writer for Pacific Rim Uprising, she did like the 7-minute scene, which is pretty cool. I'm probably gonna try to do that as well. But she, in that video, said keep writing to a minimum, and if you can have it on one line, then have it on one line. Save space. Alright, then she trips on an animal trap. Celine stumbles but catches herself. She reaches down for the squirrel caught on the trap, tries to grab it. She drops one in the process. Damn it. She struggles to pick them all up, manages to get them. Alright. Looks up and spots the red and white flowers on a tree. Alright. She saunters over and picks up some dead flowers from the floor. Cut to Celine dumps the squirrels next to a bonfire with some already cooking. She slips away towards Vetter's tent. And then interior, he uncurls from his ball position and sits up. I don't know why I had Vetter always curled in a ball position. I don't know, kind of like quirky and funny. Did you bring it to have like an old guy in a fetal position all the time? Yeah, you want a dead squirrel? No. I know. She produces the dead flower from her pocket. What did these do? Nothing as flashy. Instead of chewing them, Vetter simply smashes them with his hands. Exterior, Reyes cuts a cooked squirrel in half. Reyes cuts a cooked squirrel in half and places it onto 2 plates. He walks down the row of tents towards Vetter's. And then we're inside. There's crumble and Vetter pushes the dust into a pile. Here, let me show you something. He scoots into the corner of the tent and lifts a towel to reveal 3 small green plants outside. Reyes steps into a tent and hands a plate to one of the others who comes out and walks down towards Vetter's. Inside, do you smell that? Celine takes a deep breath and gaps. Outside, eyes wide. What is that? I've smelled that before. Outside, they're peanuts. Reyes stops in his tracks. He listens. Inside, what are peanuts? A plant that was wiped out by the king. Why? Do you know why you're here in the camp? Yes, because I have no parents. They were killed by the king. Your parents are peanut farmers. And now we go to the flashback. Fires roar across the field. The man carries the baby in his arms through the fire. Knights slash down men and women around him. He luckily can slip past. He rushes out of the pastures, breaking through a wall of fire. The baby's cloth catches flame. No, no, no. The father tries to pat out the flame. Suddenly he sees from behind. The baby drops from his arms and onto the forest floor. A knight holds her father down as Celine wails, the fire consuming the cloth. Wait, my child. A sound of a sword being drawn, then nothing. The baby cries, the rep almost entirely fire. The knight's boots crunch leaves as he steps toward the child. Then purple dust swirls around the child. It puts out the flame. The knight steps forward and the swirly dust erodes his armor. He yelps and jumps back. Celine cries and the knight considers, then runs back to the flame, leaving the baby alone in the woods. So the backstory on what happened. I wanted to put that in the teaser, but then I wanted to do the voiceover too, and then they didn't work together because this scene would have been too long, and then the voiceover, you would have forgot what he just said. Alright, then interior Vetter's tent, back to present. I should say present. They killed them over a plant. The king was afraid of what a prophecy told him by one of the people. He's also tried exterminating us, but that was a little harder than peanut fields. She sits back, taking it all in. Well, then why are you growing them? You can't have these here. Then back outside, races her nephew, turns and runs the opposite direction. Interior. Celine moves to grab the peanuts. He stops her. I don't believe that peanuts were the answer to the prophecy. What? They interpret it wrong. So my parents died for nothing. With a king who is as scared and insecure as this, many people die for nothing. But you still can't grow these no matter what, whether they were the answer to some prophecy. If the kingdom believes that they are the answer, then they won't stop until it's eradicated, right? But they won't find out. I love peanuts. He grabs the flower dust and sprinkles it over the plants. They're hard to grow as well. They do smell amazing. So if it wasn't the peanut, then what do you think it is? Alright, so the end of Act 1. This is a really weak reason as to why he's growing peanuts. He's just like, oh, it's no worry, and I really like peanuts. It's not totally unbelievable, but it's pretty weak. If I had more time, I'd definitely think of a different reason why he would be growing peanuts. Possibly they also have some sort of magical properties to them, but I don't know. I'd have to think about that, but this is just too weak. But some things I can't change within the allotted time. So this is the end of Act 1. So we get pretty much in only Act 1 we get the point of attack, and that is she survived through a magical circumstance, right? We see the purple dust, and then we know that Vetter is now growing peanuts, so that is coming back to them, and it's probably going to bite them in the butt because her parents died for it, and now Vetter is growing it. And then Vetter also thinks that peanuts are not it, so that's the main point of attack, is that Vetter says, oh, well, peanuts aren't the problem. It's kind of funny. It's kind of a funny prompt. Alright, so Act 2. Exterior Castle Stables Day. Stablekeeper stands outside once more. This time only Peter and the other lankier Squire Macer face him. Captain Ducks, yes. First Night Krause, yes. Very well, in you go. Stablekeeper opens the gate and the two boys run inside. Peter emerges horse in hand and looking rather proud of himself until he sees Macer is already outside waiting. How'd you get out so fast? I don't know. I'm older, more practice. Are you close to becoming a knight? Close is an interesting measurement. Closer than you, but not close enough. I'm going to be captain. Are you now? I am. Well known. Better to be the captain than a squire, I guess, unless someone else does something miraculous. Like what? I don't know. Something like what Captain Ducks did. Jumped from second knight to captain. What did he do? He never told you? No. What's more surprising is that you simply haven't heard it from being around. What did he do? I'm not sure. I'm the one to tell you. You can just ask him. He doesn't like being spoken to. Then we cut to Ducks' room day. So this is these intro scenes to Act 2. I'll just read the other one, actually. Extravagant stone room, drapes and carpets line the walls of the floors. A large bed, a closet, and waitstaff stand off to the side. Peter adjusts and tightens Ducks' gold armor. Not too tight now, you hear? Yes, sir. And when you set up the horse, make sure the stirrups aren't too tight, because sometimes my legs are bent too much. Yes, sir. And next time, don't talk to the stable boys. Gulps and nods. Sir? I was talking to Macer, not a stable boy, the squire to First Night Krause, one of my best men. You mentioned the story of how you became captain, and I've never heard of it, so I was wondering if you could share. He doesn't respond. Sir, what? Well, if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. You didn't ask me to tell you. You said you were wondering if I could share. That wasn't a question. It wasn't a command. It wasn't anything. Don't ever post something you want with, I was wondering. It's weak and disgusting. If you were wondering something, then either ask or command. He steps away from Peter and looks at his armor, and don't you dare command. He grabs his helmet and walks out of the room. Cut to Squire's quarters day. A small room with a couple of wooden tables. Squires eat some kind of bland-looking soup. Peter sits alone. Maester approaches him. Here, he hands him a book. You can read, right? Of course I can read. He snatches the book. What is this? One of the most recent historical records of the kingdom. I'm assuming you didn't get the story from the captain. He just stares. Right, that's what I thought. The book goes over the many feats of Captain Ducks. I'd take a look. He goes to the door. Wait, where are you going? Kraus wants me to eat at the table today. In the castle dining hall, the very same. He thinks I'm ready for etiquette training. He smiles and leaves. The boys, having overheard, watch in jealousy as he leaves. Peter grunts and he continues to eat. Alright. So the first couple scenes of Act 2 are with Peter in the castle establishing multiple things, right? So they establish Peter hasn't heard of how he got the captain. We can assume that he got captain from burning the peanut fields, right? We give him Macer, who is faster than Peter, older than Peter, and now more accomplished than Peter because he's being taught etiquette. So that gives Peter someone to actually talk to, right? Because the other squires, he looks down upon them. He's like, I'm better. I can do everything faster. But now Macer is someone who he feels he can approach and that he would be able to talk to because Peter doesn't look down on him, and it's sort of humbling. And then we also establish Dux as a hard ass who tells Peter, and Peter is a different person around Dux, right? He's not cocky, and he respects Dux, and he's very much a squire in that sense. And then we cut back to Solene in the forest, exterior forest. Alright. Solene picking up sticks yet again. She's having trouble keeping them under her. She drops off the pile, lips around. Don't say anything, but no one's there. Now the young refugee eyes her. Where's Ray's? The young refugee shrugs. And then we cut to Phoebel's tent. What can I help you with? Across Mirror sits Ray's. He seems frustrated, stressed. What? Say I've heard something that could put this whole camp in danger. What should I do? Well, not sure what danger this camp could possibly be in. Aside from the knights who occasionally patrol the adjacent road, no one really comes in. Does something bad happen within the grounds? He gulps and doesn't respond. I can assure you that no one here would have the heart to do anything nefarious. We all understand that we are in the same position. Cast it out. However, if you feel wronged, and you should come out and say what's bothering you. I told Celine this earlier, but be true to yourself and don't worry about others. If you feel unsafe or that something is unfair, then you can say it. I hear Vetter's growing peanuts. And then, so Ray's overheard, and he tells Phoebe gives him a long speech about how nothing's going to happen, and then he tells her that Vetter is growing peanuts, and then we cut. Right, so we don't know Phoebe's reaction, but we can guess by the cut that it is not what she just lamented about, being yourself, nothing's gonna happen. By cutting right there, we don't even need to really show her reaction because we can imagine that it's something that we don't want to see, or it's implied that this is something that's serious enough to break what she just gave a lecture about. And then we cut back to the squire's quarters. Maester is eating alone. Peter approaches him and sits down the book. You're eating in here today? I am. So the etiquette didn't go well? No, quite well, but I can't be in there every day for every meal. Right. Did you read it all? Most of it. The riddle, the prophecy. I don't understand it. What don't you understand? Why did she say it? Why then? The book talked about the answer being peanuts, but so what? I was also a bit confused as to why the enchantress did what she did. Why not let the prophecy come true and let the walls crumble without the king's knowledge? Don't say that. I don't think it should happen. I'm just saying it's interesting, right? Right. But the leprechaun, the mermaid, those things don't exist, right? I've never seen them. The leprechaun, the centaur, the mermaid, the chimera, all of them haven't been recorded in the castle's books, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. But how would they know then? It could have just been fake, something to scare the king. Did you read about what happened that day? The sands flying around here, shredding armor like butter. That tribe, the one the enchantress is from, they can do incredible things. I've chalked it up to being in the right place at the right time. Or maybe the king's treatment triggered it. I'm not sure. Ducks really killed everyone. Anyone who's on the farm, I guess. Peter seems a bit astir but doesn't want to show it. That's what you have to do. Something as noble as that, and you'll become cat in no time. Off Peter thinking. Cut to Dux's room day. Peter straps on Dux's armor again. Dux glances to a bench, sees Peter's book, but doesn't say anything. Sir, what? I was talking to Mason, and he said that he attended the castle dining hall for a meal. He did for etiquette training. Well, I was wondering if I could attend a meal soon. Dux's jaw tightens. Sorry, sir. May I join you for a meal soon to learn the etiquette? Right, he just did the I was wondering thing, the thing Dux gave him a lecture about. You aren't ready, but you need to handle much more responsibility before coming into the dining hall. I'm one of the fastest of what? Dressing my horse? That doesn't mean anything. What have you been doing in your free time? My free time? Yes. Do I have to repeat myself every second for you to understand? When you aren't with me, what do you do? Well, do you fight? I've been practicing. You have? Where? With who? By myself. Practicing fighting by yourself is like chewing with nothing in your mouth. You've been reading. Yes, I can read. Why? What? Why are you wasting your time reading? I thought all squires must know how to read fundamentals, but not the epic tales scribbled by merchants. If you want to spend your day reading, you should have been a scribe, not a squire. Yes, sir. If you want more responsibilities, then I can give you some. Yes, sir. Tomorrow you patrol the refugee camp. So this wasn't a bad way to get Peter and Soline's storyline together, right? I feel like it was kind of organic. Peter and Macer are talking, and then Peter wants more responsibilities, right? Because that's who he is. And then Macer says, oh, but I've been doing etiquette training. Peter says, can I do etiquette training? And then Doug says, you need more responsibilities before you join me. You need to learn how to fight. And then he's like, can I have more responsibilities? And Doug says, okay, you can go patrol. And then we already mentioned before that night's patrol, Phoebo said it. And the thing about having two storylines is that you need them to intervene at some point, or else what's the point of telling two storylines? And even though in this episode they intervene at only a short time and hardly, like, they just share a glance, but that's pretty much all you need, because the audience is able to see, okay, so they are connected somehow, and they will probably be connected in the future. But they need to see how they can converge, right? Or else it's just two different stories that we're watching at the same time, and it's just not really worth it. Alright, cut to refugee camp day. Celine approaches the camp. She drops her bundle of sticks. This time she doesn't bother picking it up. The camp is in disarray. People are shouting and running toward the crowd. Celine pushes her way to the front. Reyes and Phoebo stand outside Vetter's tent. Vetter is on his hands and knees begging, please don't, you bumbling idiot. What were you thinking? Growing them here? It's not a big deal. It's just 3 plants. It is a big deal. If they found out. How would they found out? World travels. You are still in the kingdom, Vetter. You should know better. Look around us. Most of these people, Celine, Race, their families were taken because of this plant. They're just plants, not to the kingdom, Celine butts in. Phoebo, he's told me about the kingdom and the prophecy. They aren't the answer. Peanuts, it doesn't matter what the plant or nut or fruit or whatever it is. If the kingdom believes that peanuts are dangerous for some reason, God knows why, then they will kill all of us. Your parents, Celine, this camp. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those plants. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the kingdom. They're dangerous, Celine. They have to go. We just don't have to. Reyes, pull them out. Wait. Reyes stomps past Veter and rips open his tent. Veter grabs his legs, but Reyes powers through. He lifts the blanket to reveal the plants. Just let them be. He rips them out. I'm throwing these away. Reyes stomps through the camp and to the forest edge. He tosses them into a pile of dead leaves. Celine helps Vetter put his tent back up. You told them? No, I didn't. How did they know? I don't know. Could you get them back, please? My tribe used to grow them. It's been so long. They reminded me of being back home. Vader crawls into his ball position and faces away from Celine. Don't hate me. I'm sorry. She pitches the hand, backs out. The camp is resumed to normal. Everyone has moved back to their tent. She sees Ray slip into Phoebo. She walks to the edge. The camp peeks out. Down the soldier, someone is standing by the forest edge. A soldier? Celine squints. No, a squire. The squire looks down at a pile of leaves. Celine watches as the squire leans down. Peter picks up the peanut plant, turns and looks straight to Celine. Peter picks up the peanut plant. Alright, so this is where our story converges. End of Act 2. This is the hero committed for Peter, right? He's learned about the plant. He wants to prove himself. He finds the plant and he's like, alright, this is my time to shine. I think this last line, don't hate me, I'm sorry, from Vetter, gives a little bit of insight to why he made the choice, right? He says, My tribe used to grow them. It's been so long. They reminded me of being back home. He's homesick. He likes peanuts, I guess. It's not that strong, but... And then he accepts that what he's done is wrong, right? He says, don't hate me, I'm sorry. Because he knows what it means to other people, right? That is basically the plant that took a lot of their families. And he's just like a man who wasn't thinking and wanted to grow the plants because he wanted to give that sense of like wonder and magic to Celine. He was just looking for that satisfaction. And then we're in Act 3, Vetter's tent. Celine bursts through the flat. Vetter slowly turns around. Vetter, someone found the plant. He sets up realization. Who? Someone from the palace. It didn't look like a knight. It was maybe a squire or something. He knew what it was, though. No. If Phoebo and Reyes hadn't made such a big deal. If I hadn't planted the damn thing, it'll be okay, right? Not if it was someone from the castle. What do? We have to save everyone, right? We have to move the camp, hide them in the forest. We can do it. We have time, right? He has to go back to the castle, and they have to assemble. There isn't much time. Celine, you have to run. What? You have to run. You can get away. You can look for the real plant, what they should actually be scared of. I didn't even hear. He lifts the blanket and pulls something out. The prophecy. They grow from the ground and are housed in shells, taking the place of earth and fruit. They are valued as wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and inspiration. 4 of them strong, 4 of them to crumble your kingdom walls. A leprechaun, a centaur, a mermaid, a chimera. Different creatures birthed from the same plant as we are. Different people born from the same earth. Respect us, and they will not grow. Cast us out, and they will come. Respect us, and they will not grow. Cast us out, and they will come. Vetter holds his hands out to reveal what looks like half of a shell. What is that? It's half of a walnut shell. A walnut? Alright, so we're getting to the hero command of Celine, her taking flight onto her quest. Cut to Dux's room. Dux stares at the peanut plant for the first time. He is taken aback, dumbfounded. How'd you know what this was? The book, sir. He slams it on the floor. Damn it! Ready, my horse. He storms out of the room. I'll assemble the rest. He picks up the peanut plant and rushes over to him. Cut to the king of streets. Flashes of yellow armor. Hooves clopping on stone, night upon night, riding through the streets. Peter rides by and ducks. You have something to prove, Peter. Show me what you got. Cut to Vetter's tent. I believe that the walnut is the answer to the prophecy, not the peanut. These shells are larger. They've always stored magic in them. Do you have your flint? She gives it to him. Watch this. He strikes the flint on the walnut shell. It sparks and... Wait, what? Oh, it sparks and swirls. The sparks follow his movements and grow. They swirl and get brighter. Soon Vetter as far as swirling. They were considered rare and powerful in my tribe, even more so than peanuts. He lets the fire die out. He has the walnut shell to Celine. What am I supposed to do with this? I can't do that. I can barely hold sticks. You need it more than I do. He just under his closet and pulls out another one. I have one for myself. How many magical things do you have in another? He gives a knowing smile. Are they not stronger together? It doesn't matter. You need to protect yourself. Just slide it across my surface and it should... Just slide it across any surface and it should create fire. She strikes down the flint and some sparks fly out. Well, I don't know how much that is going to protect me. Just believe in yourself. Commotion ripples through the camp. Raised voices wrestle tents. Wait here. Vetter limps over and peeks his head out. They're here. You have to go now. There's no time. Look, find the walnuts. Bring the 4 here. Crumble these walls. Do it for your parents. Do it for us. Walnuts are found in supernatural places, and they are always found in very short quantities, only 1 or 2 in a mile radius at least. My tribe was south. I know that's not helpful, and none of this is very helpful, but you have to do this, okay? Okay, go. She drives out of town. Thank you, Mayor. The back way to the forest. She keeps her head up and runs through the camp. Vetter hobbles out of his tent, making his way to the front. There he is. Reyes grabs Vetter and drags him through the camp. Reyes drops Vetter in the front of the wall. The knights, they stand side by side, Ducks in the middle, Peter behind him. This man was the one who grew the peanuts. None of us had anything to do with it. He only grew 3 or 4, and we threw them away as soon as we found it. Please don't hurt us. He regards Peter. Please. He points at Phoebo, and I pulls a crossbow and fires. Phoebo falls. Peter takes it on. He's shocked, horrified. He throws up. The horse bucks at the retching. Vetter pulls the walnut shell from his shirt and places it on his mouth. He bites down. Crack! The air fills with sparks. He moves and flows like water, fire forming through the air. Dux points at him. Kill him. A flurry of arrows speeds towards Vetter. He bends the fire to absorb them. Dux hops off his horse, his gold armor shining against the fire. He pulls his sword. Vader flows the fire around him and sends it blasting at Dux. Dux pulls a hand to cover his face. The gold armor slides through the fire. Dux draws his sword. Vader tries to urge the fire to flow back as Dux cuts his head off. Peter falls from the horse, retching and crying. Kill them all. Burn it to the ground. Arrows rain from the sky. Torches are tossed to the camp. We're on page 40, but it doesn't feel like 40 minutes. So Selena's sent out with the walnut shell. She's given brief instructions on the walnut, but pretty much nothing useful. Peter had his chance and he couldn't handle it, right? And that's something I wanted to emphasize. You know, there's a lot of people who glorify that stuff and like, I want to fight and I want to be. But seeing a dead person in real life and seeing that in real life can be so traumatic and so disgusting. And so I wanted that to be a change in Peter. Alright, then we cut to the forest. Celine slows from her run and takes the rest, panting. I can't do this. She starts walking aimlessly. South, that's it. I have to go south and look for tiny plants along the way. That if 4 monsters take down the kingdom. What? This is ridiculous. She pulls the walnut shell from her pocket. And what am I supposed to do with this? I guess at least I know what a walnut looks like now. If only it told me what to do. She holds up the walnut. What should I do? Magic nut, what should I do? She sighs. This thing is useless. I'm not even magic. I can't turn sparks into fire. I can barely even make sparks. She tosses it at a tree, and as soon as the shell scrapes the bark, sparks fly out, and then... But these don't flow. They form into a line, a zigzagging line through the trees. Whoa. She picks up the shell and inspects the sparks. She starts following it. The sparks flow endlessly. Celine glances the cottage off the path. She notes the setting sun. I'm going to pass out of the cottage. Hello! Celine approaches warily. Are you traveling from afar? Please, come in. It's about to get dark. My name is Nissam. Celine. Celine, what a lovely name. Please come in. I was about to have my dinner and accidentally made extra. Are you hungry? Celine clutches her stomach. She didn't know this until now, but she's actually very hungry. She steps through the door. Nissam's house afternoon. Her house is eerily nice for someone that lives in the middle of the woods. Wow, your house is beautiful. How'd you get all the stuff here? Oh, I made it all. Here, have a seat. Celine sits on a pink chair with flowers painted on it. The table is already set for 2. Nissam steps into the kitchen, comes out with a roasted chicken, and sets it on the table. Wow, it looks delicious. Thank you. I hope it smells and tastes like it too. Oh, it smells delicious too. Oh, it smells delicious too. Thank you, dear. Now, what are you doing here? I was following a path. What path? Upon realizing the woman couldn't see that spark south. I was going south. South for what? Walnuts? Walnuts? Yeah, have you heard of them? Heard of them. I have a whole orchard outside. An orchard? Yes, come. Nissam gets up from the table, grabbing Celine's wrist. She has an unusually strong grip. She takes her out through a back door, and sure enough, Celine steps out into a cast orchard. Vast orchard of walnuts. No way, amazing, isn't it? Celine steps forward, past Nissam into the field. Where did all this come from? Does it really matter? And Act 3. So I wanted that ending scene to be like super eerie. In this cottage in the middle of the woods. I always like that part of like young adult fiction when they're going on adventure and then they meet that like first bump in the road, and it's usually like a nice little cottage or a nice restaurant run by cannibals or something. I feel like they have that. They gotta have that in like Percy Jackson or something. But I really like that idea, and just that first bump in the road, that first monster, and having these like just weird encounters on their journey. And then we're in Act 4, and then we're back at the castle. So castle library night. A grand wooden door creaks open, and Peter's head pops through. The library isn't lit. Tall shelves of books line the walls. Multiple sliding ladders lean against them. Peter slips through the door holding up a lantern. He wanders in a large cavernous library. He climbs ladders and looks and searches. He finally pulls a book and descends the ladder. He sits at a wooden table. The lantern illuminates the cover. Edible botany, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and more. He starts flipping through the pages. From his pocket, he pulls the wilted peanut plant and the walnut shell. He scours the pages. The light in his lantern dims. A creak, the door opening. Peter whips his head towards the door, and then we cut to Celine whipping her head back to see Nissam. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Nothing, dear. Go. Experience my lovely orchard. Go on. Celine pulls out the walnut shell and looks at it, and then looks at the walnuts growing on the tree. She enters the orchard, marveling at the endless trees. She wanders deeper and deeper. She looks back, and Nissam isn't there. Nissam. She shrugs and walks up to a tree. She reaches to a low-hanging walnut. I wouldn't do that. Nissam is in front of her. Oh, sorry. How'd you get there? Get where? Never mind. I wasn't going to pick it. Good. I just want to feel it. She reaches up. No, too late. The walnut crumbles like ash in Celine's hands. What? She turns. Nassim stands inches from her face. Celine screams and jumps back, losing hold of the walnut shell. Nissam's eyes full of blackness. I told you not to touch them. Celine crawls away from her. The tree that had the ash and walnut slowly starts to crumble as well. Then so did the rest. The orchard falls apart around her. Walnuts aren't grown in bunches. What? They only grow 1 or 2 per mile at least. Well, look who wasn't thinking when she entered the orchard. Now it's too late. Nissam lunges at Celine. She rolls out of the way, scrambles up, and bolts. Celine stops the walnut shell. She doubles back. Nissam lunges again. She gets clipped by her hand. Now a talon. Celine doesn't have time to look. She grabs her saw and runs. I phrase it like this because to mimic like Celine's hastiness. She gets clipped by her hand. Now a talon. Like Celine can't tell if it was a hand or a talon. It's just like a flash. But anyway, the orchard crumbs around her. The trees deforming into black sand. Nissam's cackles fill the air. Come back. Celine looks back to see Sam chasing after her. One of her hands has turned into a talon. Blackfoot sprout from her body. Shoot. Celine fumbles in her pocket and pulls out the flint. She reaches the house and bursts through the back door. She stumbles through the house, the beautiful decorations falling away to reveal a rundown shack. She breaks through the front door, the trail of sparks still there and now leading away from the house. Followed shortly after by Sam, breaking down the door entirely. Celine turns and strikes the shell on the flint. Some sparks fly. Come here, let me eat you. Nisam lunges again. Celine strikes the shell on the floor. Still, measly sparks come out. Nisam hits the items from Celine's hands and flings Celine to the floor. She hits her head. Her vision blurs and starts to tunnel. Nisam, a blackbird worm, stands over her, and then, just before she blacks out, the trail of sparks starts to flow in different directions. They pull together, swirling like a whirlpool. They engulf Nisam. She shrieks. Cut to Dux's room. Day. Peter dresses Dux. You disappointed me yesterday. Peter's fingers faltered. The first we've seen. Peter fails to reply. Was it the first time you've seen someone die? Yes, sir. It's not easy. It's not easy your first time. He gives a weak smile. Nevertheless, you will never throw up on my horse or in my presence again. Nothing about you can be weak. You will hold your bile in my presence. You will hold your tongue. You will go where you're told to go. You will do as you're told to do, and you will kill as who you're told to kill. You will start combat training next week. Despite feeling sick, Peter perks up. Yes, sir, that sounds amazing. Peter finishes dressing Dux. Dux checks himself. One more thing, sir. Dux regards the mirror. The peanut plant. Is there a possibility that the scribes were wrong about which plant the prophecy was talking about? Crack! Dux's hand goes straight through the mirror. Peter jumps and cowers. You mean to tell me that we burnt fields and killed hundreds because our royal scribes were wrong? Well, and you, a squire, think that you know better than the king's smartest people, the people who have read every book in the castle library, who have researched extensively every animal, plant, human in this kingdom. You must learn your place in fast, squire, because I'm losing my patience. Soon enough, you will be out of this castle. He stares at the broken mirror. Don't you dare to disrespect me, the kingdom, or the people in this castle ever again. He storms out, leaving Peter quivering on the floor. Cut to interior squire's quarter day. Macer eats alone. Peter joins him. Peter slides the botany book over. Have you read this? He shakes his head. This is what you were doing in the library the other day? Yes. Luckily it was only me who caught you, or else you'd be in big. Okay, I get it. This is the book I was reading. It has information about peanuts and other nuts and such. So what? I don't think the prophecy was talking about peanuts. He stops eating, stares. Look, I know it's crazy. Shut up. But look. I know, no, just shut up. He gets up, leaving his bowl and walks out. Peter follows him. He walks on the corridors until he finds an empty one. He slips into the closet, as is Peter. Why are we in here? What the hell, man? You can't just talk about this stuff in public. Please don't tell me you mentioned this to the captain. I did. You did? What did he say? He yelled at me for disrespecting your kingdom. Mr. Tisson puts a hand to his head. You lucky. I never thought he'd be that lenient. So, what the hell would lead you to believe that's not the peanut? He takes the walnut shell out of his pocket. Did you hear about the refugee camp? Yeah, Krust told me. There's a man there. He uses this to conjure fire. It's called a walnut. It has like magical properties or something. Who cares if it's magical or not? I don't care. No one cares. It's not grounds. I know. Shut up. Just let me explain. Look, not only does it have magical properties, but I looked it up. Look at this texture. He holds it up. So what? It's bumpy. Have you read anatomical textbooks? Sure, a couple. It's sort of shaped like a brain. Okay, I'm still not. Look, in this book, old tribes used to think of it as a symbol of intellect. It represents clarity and focus and wisdom and knowledge. They grow from the ground and are housed in shells, taking the place of earth and fruit. They are valued as wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and inspiration. For them strong, for them to crumble like your kingdom walls. The scribes thought that wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and inspiration were describing the four creatures, but what if it was describing the thing that was growing from the ground, housed in a shell? That would make sense, right? Walnuts are rare. We don't trade them. They aren't close in our markets. The closest thing is the peanut, and that's really easily accessible. Realization seems to dawn on Macer. I'm actually kind of proud about this one for myself, coming up with like this little switcheroo. Because it's very plausible that in the prophecy, royal scribes would have thought that wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and inspiration were describing the four creatures, but also the walnut is from Wikipedia. It is a symbol of intelligence, wisdom, and knowledge, and it's synonymous to intellect and even resembles the brain, and Native Americans used to see the walnut as a symbol of clarity. So I'm a little pat on the back right there, because I like that part. Then Mason, oh my god, wait, this doesn't prove anything. Those four words could still have been used to describe the four creatures. I know it's not concrete, but sort of makes sense, right? I mean, have you ever heard of people using peanuts to conjure fire? The man had dark skin. He must have grown up in a tribe that would know about this nut and its properties. Mason leans against the wall and sinks to the floor. There's no possible way to tell anyone, though. Like Duck said, going against it after having already dealt so much damage, the kingdom would be a laughingstock. But the villagers wouldn't have to know. They could send out some knights to find word would get out. Word always gets out. Yeah. Let me take these for now. He takes the book in the walnut shell. Peter produces a plant. Do you want this? Gods, Peter. I thought you were smarter than this. You've just been walking around with the peanut plant. It's dead. Plus, I had to be sure. Don't look at me that way. He looks away from me. Says, condescending look. Don't mention this to anyone else, okay? And Act 4. So Celine is able to escape. And then we are starting to see Peter crumble from who he was, right? He was this cocky dude, and then he met Maester, and then he kind of humbled himself. And now he's starting to doubt the whole kingdom. Honestly, this is a little bit drastic of a change for the pilot, and it's something I've been working on, is not making too many changes happen in the pilot, only slight changes that can be carried on through the seasons. But in my original thought, I wanted Peter to like leave the castle at the end of this episode, but he's still there, and I think he's still loyal to Dux after this, and he will be loyal for a couple episodes until he finally gets like the courage to leave and pursue something else, because he knows that the castle's probably wrong, but again, he's not sure, right? Because Maester said, it could be this, but it still could be describing the 4 creatures, so there's no concrete evidence. Alright, so we open up in Act 5, page 58. Edice's tent day. We don't know who Edice is yet. Celine wakes up, her eyes fluttering again. She lies on a flat mattress inside of a tent. Vetter? Her eyes focus, and she knows that a cloud of soft sand slowly floats around her. She sits up, the sand getting into her eyes and mouth. Oh goodness. She tries to spit it out. Oh, you're awake. Sorry about that. The soft sand flows around and toward an old woman sitting in the corner. Good afternoon. My name is Edice. Edice, looking more like a female version of Vetter, crushes paste in a mortar and pestle. Come here, Celine obliges. Where am I? She scoops the paste in her hands and rubs it together. You're in the Patriot tribe. Hold your breath. Your breath and close your eyes, please. Celine does so. Edith slathers Celine's face in the paste. Celine sputters and backs away. Hold your breath for a little longer, please. Okay, now breathe. Celine lets out the air and takes a deep breath. It feels surprisingly clear. She touches her face and feels only smooth skin. The paste has fully absorbed. Remember to keep writing in present tense, not past tense. Just a little moisturizing remedy, always good after a traumatic experience such as yours. How did you find me? That birdly Denisam? Yeah, she's a wretched thing, and I wasn't the one who found you. Calm was. Who's Calm? I believe he's still outside if you want to meet him. Celine Wary parts the front flap and peeks out. Patriot Tribe Day. It's a very busy camp, much neater than the refugee camp. Dark-skinned people walk around, all seemingly with a job in mind. Celine notices a boy not much older than herself is fast asleep right next to the tent entrance. He wanted to come in, and I said it wasn't proper for a man to be watching a woman sleep. I told him he could either get on with his daily duties or wait outside. I guess he chose the latter then. Wake up! Celine jumps. Calm stays fast asleep. Here, watch this. She picks up a pinch of dirt and blows it towards Calm. It flies around his head and jets up his nose. He wakes up with a snort. He jumps to his feet, rubbing his eyes. Miar, Edice! I hate it when you do that. Mayor? Calm takes notice of Celine. You're awake. A pleasure to meet you. My name is Calm. I saved you from that nasty Sam. Oh, well, thank you very much. Of course, saving people is what I do. Pff, you can't even stay awake. Mayor! We'll be heading to the council now. He takes Celine's arm. Come on, there are people who want to meet you. The Patriot Council tent day. The tent is much larger than the other ones, with the large carpet and pillows situated along the edges. 2 dark-skinned people, a man and woman, sit across the length of the carpet from each other, eyes closed. Mayor Senholm and Mayor Musin. Here is Celine, the girl who was following the sparks. Calm gives a curt bow and marches into the tent. They're extremely all women. Mayor Musin opens her eyes. Hello, Celine. My name is Musin. You may address me as Mayor. Nice to meet you, Mayor. And I am Senholm. You may address me as the same. You may address me the same. Hello, Mayor. By the way, what does that mean? I lived in a refugee camp, and one of the elders wanted to go by Mayor as well. It is a term of respect for someone older than you. Was this person of the same skin as us? He was. And what was his name, young Celine? Vetter. Mayor Vetter. Senholm and Musin now have their full attention on her. They turn to stare at Combe. You know my father? Cut to Dux's room. Peter enters Dux's room and looks around. No one's there. He turns back just as Dux bursts through the door. He grabs Peter by the shoulder and screams at him. Did you tell anyone else? What? About your theory? Did you tell anyone else? No, I don't. Are you sure? Are you sure? Yes. Yes. Dux stares at him and then relaxes. He lets go. Okay, thank God. Why? You'll see why. In a couple of hours, you'll see why. I don't. Trust me. Then get ready to be in the presence of the king. Cut back to Patriot Council tent day. We were aware that the fields had burned, but we didn't know about the prophecy. I agree with Vetter that it sounds more likely to be the walnut instead of the peanut, simply based off of their energy. Celine holds out the walnut shell. Vetter gave this to me before he confronted the knights. How will we find them? It won't be easy. I'm not even sure how Vetter got his hands on that. Walnuts are found few and far between. They are most likely found during supernatural occurrences as well. Any natural occurrence? We aren't entirely sure, but these creatures do have certain myths about their name. We can guess as to when and where you will find their shells. Leprechaun will be most likely found at the Eye of a Storm. However, these are supernatural, as we said. I'm not sure what warrants a supernatural storm, but I'm sure you'll know it when you see it. The centaur will be in the forest, most likely so hidden, so protected that you wouldn't even be able to see where the walnut grows with the naked eye. The mermaid will be in the ocean, most likely appearing during some sort of tidal wave or tsunami. But those only happen a couple of 100 years, right? Those are extremely rare. And the chimera, the beast of 3 animals that breathes fire, will most likely be born from an erupting volcano. Not that being said, these occurrences may not even happen during your lifetime. It's a foolish idea to go after them at all. A silence as parties take in the information. Then calm. Is my father still alive? I don't know. Apparently last time the kingdom found the nuts, they killed my parents and burned down the neighborhood. Their kingdom may not have touched this place yet, but they are ruthless. I think anything is worth pursuing. If you wish, you do what you want. But the Patriot tribe will not follow you. Right. Thank you, Mayor Seno, Mayor Musin. Feel free to stay as long as you like. She goes to her bed and Calm follows her. He could still be alive. I hope so. I could find him. He'd be north. Here. She hands in the walnut shell. I'm assuming you can use this better than I can. Find him. Bring him to safety. Don't you need this for the trail to find your way? For all I know, it was just leading me to the camp. I'm not sure it's going to help conjure mystical rains anyway. She smiles and gives the walnut shell. Thank you. We cut back to the castle courtyard. Peter stands with perfect posture next to Captain Dux in his golden armor. The courtyard is lined with knights, some with their squires, some without. The king, dressed in heavy robes, steps out into the courtyard. He dresses a lot. There have been talks about the royal scribes, that the royal scribes were wrong about the prophecy, that I burned fields and destroyed homes for no reason, that I, the king of this country, was inept and inadequate. Before the guilty parties are prosecuted, does anyone else have anything else to say on the matter? Does anyone else wish to go against me or Captain Dux? Does anyone wish to tell us that we slaughtered innocent lives in vain? No one? No one? Peter flinches and shivers. Good, now bring him out. 2 knights drag a boy into the courtyard. Peter stares in the bloodied and beaten face of Macer. Cut back to the forest. Celine climbs a mountain right away from the trap. Wait. She looks back and sees Calm coming after her. What about Vetter? The old man can wait. He'll be there when we get back. I decided that saving the country was a bit more noble. He smiles. Well, it's going to be difficult. Like your mayor said, it may be impossible. We'll see about that. He strikes the walnut shell on the bark of the tree and flash, the sparks shoot out, forcing themselves into a winding lane again. This definitely isn't heading toward the trap. I guess not. Shall I follow it? It's all we can do. Up above, clouds form in the sky, thunder grumbles. This may be easier than we thought. Then we cut back to it. It starts drizzling. The blood slowly washes off Macer's face. Despite being wet, his body convulses in short sobs. Second Knight Kraus was smart enough to turn his squires after hearing... Oh, it's First Knight Kraus. Was smart enough to turn in his squires after hearing about his treacherous thoughts. Any knight, man, woman, squire, or child that hears these words and does not come straight to me will be punished the same as his boy. The king kicks Macer to the floor. He pulls his sword from the sheath. Peter closes his eyes. Don't throw up. Hold it. Swallow it. He gulps through your face. Open your eyes. Peter slowly opens them as the king's sword comes down. Alright, so I originally in this wanted to end it with them finding Leprechaun and end Act 4 with her setting off on the quest. But it just didn't happen that way. I needed more time, and quite often it's not bad to have more time just to flesh out some people. There was a cool thing that happened when I was writing. So before I wrote the scene where they're in the council tent talking to the 2 elders, I didn't know how the 2 elders would not help her, right? Because I wanted this to be her quest, her and Calm's quest to set out together, and it didn't make sense for them to set out and the tribe be like, oh, we'll just send more people with you, because I didn't want that to happen. But as I was writing, it just made sense as I was describing, like, even the conditions to the walnuts sounded like crazy to me. So they must have sounded crazy to the elders, and they would be like, this is crazy. We're not going to send people out on this. So that was one of the great things about writing, is that sometimes it just kind of deals with it itself. And if you have I don't have a good instinct, but if you have that instinct, sometimes the writing as you write will just flow and resolve itself and go in a natural direction. So that's why you shouldn't get too caught up in the outlines, because it can be sometimes burdensome. Sometimes it's better to stick to the outline. Sometimes it's better to deviate and just go with what feels right. In terms of this scene, it actually worked out really well, because it gave me a reason to let Celine and Calm break out on their own. And then also ending it with Peter seeing Macer die is a dramatic shift in his attitude, right? So I wanted to... Actually, did I? Oh no, I wanted to end it with him being executed. So I didn't want it to end with him leaving, but that's the goal, right? Is that he leaves the castle. But ending it on him seeing Macer die is a radical change. And the next couple episodes, he's going to be very conflicted about what he has to do, where he needs to go, where he belongs. Like we saw in the beginning, he's very like headstrong, and now that he has faced death, he couldn't take it, and now he's faced the death of someone he looked up to and someone who was pretty much like what he wanted to be, right? He just wanted to be a better squire so that he could be a knight or a captain or whatever. Honestly, I think this is the strongest pilot I've written so far. It was the fastest and the longest and the strongest in my opinion. I think the characters are fleshed out fine. It gives a good sense of what the show's going to be about. One of my notes is plant seeds for the season. So seed number 1, Solene, was saved at birth by Purple Sand, so she has something mystical about her. Seed number 2, Calm and Solene don't know that Vetter is dead. And then there's just the general story of how are they gonna get to these 4 walnuts, because they're in such like crazy circumstances, and you are left wondering, well, how are they gonna like find a chimera in an active volcano, and how are they gonna make a tsunami happen, or how are they gonna find a tsunami to get the mermaid out of the walnut? So honestly, I think this pilot is worth revising and going over in future plans, and actually having this as one of my work samples. I don't know if the other ones are worth it. I think the other ones are just quick and had a lot of mistakes, but I think this one's pretty solid. So let me know what you think, and thanks for sticking around.